Rewind-A-Dynamite from the post-wrestling site. AEW, lighting up the fuse. Sit back and enjoy the bubbly as we hear from John and Waiting. Where we're going, we don't need roads. And if the buck stops here, this thing might blow. Everything you hear are opinions of the show. And if you don't like it, go to the forums and let them know.
Our Dynamite review is coming up, but it is a big doubleheader on Thursday at Post Wrestling. Everyone circle your time. 4 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday for the first time ever. A live edition of the MMA Prediction Show. Myself and Ariel Helwani will be going live on the Post Wrestling YouTube channel as we are going to be looking back at Ariel's predictions for 2025. We're going to make a new list of likely, unlikely for 2026, and we will catch up with Ariel and see what he has been up to for the last year. So all of that coming your way Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern time, but that's not all. I'm going to finish this. If I'm lucky, I'll get to have dinner, and then I'm right back to watch 2 Royal Rumble matches with Ting and Brandon from New Jersey beginning at 9 p.m. Eastern time. This is a Post Wrestling Cafe exclusive. Okay, so you're getting you're getting the doubleheader, but the cafe folks will get the Rumble matches. So first, we will watch the 1990 Royal Rumble match featuring Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior in the prelude to WrestleMania 6, and then we'll fast forward 5 years to the 1995 Rumble featuring Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, both of these matches are available in their entirety on YouTube via the WWE channel or the WWE Vault channel. And well, I guess those of you who listen to this after the fact in the Post Wrestling Cafe can either sync along, or those of you who watch live, we're going to try to don't tell anybody, maybe stream these so we're watching them. We'll see how that works out before
we can't have ad
flagged,
breaks. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so that's coming up on Thursday, big day of the MMA Prediction Show and Rumble watch-alongs. And then on Friday, I will be with Neil Flanagan Friday evening chatting about SmackDown from, I think they're in Germany on Friday. Yeah. So it's an international show. And Wei, you're coming back Saturday. You're going to be doing a Collision with Kate from Montreal.
Correct. Just one quick note. We are doing our best and worst of show on Monday, 11 a.m. Eastern time in the Post Wrestling Cafe. Those of you who are in the cafe already know about that, but those of you on the free side of things, well, if you want a preview of it, or if you want it early, if you want it live, 11 a.m. Eastern time in the Post Wrestling Cafe. And then later on in the week, we'll give it out for free for all of you guys as well. But the categories are posted up right now at forum.postwrestling.com. 21 categories for this year's best and worst of.
All right, looking forward to that on Monday. For those that get the XL edition of Rewind-A-Dynamite, we did a big rundown of NXT New Year's Evil and a lot of the talent turnover that they are currently undergoing. Lots of news out of New Japan, what is going on with Sonata, and all roads leading to the Road to New Beginning card on January 20th at Korakuen Hall, where Doki defends the junior heavyweight title against El Desperado. But not to be outdone, it is not just the retirement of Hiroshi Tanahashi, but it is the retirement of his hair.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Do you think he could ever grow it back, or do you think like once it's off, it's like not possible to regrow?
He could grow it back, but I mean, what reason would he have to grow it back?
Yeah, I don't. This is symbolic. I think this is. I can hardly. I can't picture him with. He did have short hair before, but it's been a long time.
The hair is going to be put into a sleeper hold, and it's just going to smile, and it's going to tap out.
Oh, wonderful. And as well, we discussed the future of the WWE library, as their U.S. rights have now gone to Netflix for the library, and the schedule for GCW's The Collective, which is looking like quite the lineup this year for Las Vegas, and probably a much different lineup next year in Saudi Arabia.
That is a great question.
Yes.
Yeah. Where does The Collective end up? I mean, where does Effie's big gay brunch end up?
Not in Saudi Arabia.
That's probably not. No.
We talked about this when it was first announced. Where are you at next year if you are AEW and running something that weekend or running something that month? would you want to run something Mania weekend, or would you just run a big like festival type of event earlier in the month, something to replace people that are not going to be traveling for that show?
Yeah, like, I mean, okay, it's all well and good to maybe compete locally or at least like domestically, but it's still a juggernaut when it comes to just the conversation around professional wrestling, you know, WrestleMania, no matter where it is in the world. So if I was AEW, probably wouldn't do that. Wouldn't go head to head on the same weekend.
No.
But the weekend after, or maybe more likely like the weekend before when appetites are still maybe like kind of high. Or maybe you just stay away altogether and just like, you know, put everything into All In, which you should make into a more sort of like prolonged, you know, celebration rather than just a one-day event. But that's Wembley.
What about New Orleans? They run All In New Orleans.
Really. I feel like you suggested, or somebody suggested that.
I did. I did before, but I didn't.
I think that's brilliant at the time. Yeah. But
I would totally book like New Orleans if I could
for All In. What?
Maybe not even all. Like it could be any show, and
but then it's not really the same, right?
Like if you're doing All In, like you're booking the stadium, and that's a
tall task.
And there's also a question like they are in business with WWE. Could they even get a date on the stadium there? There's. Yeah. All I'm saying, there's opportunity there. There's certainly opportunity there. Yeah. All of that can be heard on the XL edition of Rewind-A-Dynamite. Those on the Café always get the extended edition of Rewind-A-Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown. Tonight, we're going to the BOK Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Last number from WrestleTix, 2,917. That's down 11% from the last time they ran, which was a Dynamite in February of 2024, 2 years ago, where they did 3,274. Justin Roberts starts the show and introduces Jim Ross, who comes out to a big ovation, and he is on for the entire 2-hour broadcast. And did it surprise you at all that they ended up like here? Obviously, this would be the show that you want to use JR. Did you think that AEW would have any hesitancy, quite frankly, with the accusations by Devon Dudley, if this would be a good decision or not of using Jim Ross at this point? Like Devon has just like doubled down on these comments. He is very forthright in, you know, these incidents that, you know, Jim Ross for his side has completely denied. But this was, you know, this follow-up video just happened to come out today as well.
Yeah. So maybe we should just like let people in on even that. So yeah, a new video came up on Devon's YouTube channel where he spoke to Maven about Jim Ross's response essentially to the story initially coming out, and Devon, like, you know, went into very specific detail about 2 instances in which he experienced racism.
Very specific about the 2 incidents. One at WWF New York where he claimed that Jim Ross was drunk, and then another where this was in catering at a taping in Indianapolis, and this is the one he speaks about where Heyman was there, Tommy Dreamer was there, Spike Dudley was there, like Bubba. that he said that there were witnesses of. Yeah.
So it is a gray area. That said, though, like I think for AEW, they like it's a gray area, but in listening to Devon, I believe Devon. Like, I don't believe this man is making this up, right? But if you're AEW, you know, you have to think about this. At this point, Jim Ross is, I would say, like, not just some sort of like, you know, like legend in the business, but like somebody who's like, I probably considered some part of like Tony's, you know, well, the company's family, right? So yep. Like, I wouldn't expect them to just like, you know, based off of like what some may consider inconclusive evidence, to just like shun him away, especially in his own hometown. I wouldn't expect that. But yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one, but I still continue to really want the people that Devon has named to back him up. Tommy Dreamer, what do you have to say about this? Paul Heyman, not that I necessarily expect Heyman to, you know, speak up that, but like Spike, you know, these are people that I think.
I mean, Dreamer and Bubba are the ones, like, they they have a platform and they have access to confirm or deny what they saw firsthand. Bubba being witness to both of them as well. Like Devon, to me, like he is very, very specific in all of these instances. And again, this was not him just like throwing this up. Like he was, if you watch that first video with Maven, like he did not want to say Jim Ross's name. He was not even like, he was responding to a question, and you can see like it was getting pulled out of him by Bubba and Maven to, say the name and stuff. It was not like he was just trying to volunteer this or just do something for attention. If that's what you want to think this is a guy that was like, he has been very, very specific about these incidents. And, quite frankly, like, he's stating that there were witnesses to it as well. So, where you want to land on this, you weren't an eyewitness to be there. One says it didn't happen. The other is, very forthright in stating it did, and it happened on 2 occasions.
Yeah. But, at the very least, as it stood tonight, like certainly to this audience in Tulsa, which probably maybe if you did show,
he was not going to get a negative reaction.
Never
in Tulsa.
But let's talk about other places, if you wanted to advertise a Jim Ross appearance. I mean, how big is this story going to get? This, like it's only been kind of dug back up as of today. Like when Jim Ross made his response to it, I felt like that was, it allowed for enough like reasonable doubt for people to maybe accept his side of things. Like it made things inconclusive. With Devon speaking up with a bit more detail about both incidences, does that change things at all for other cities?
I don't know. I don't know if this is going to cross over to be something that it's like, first of all, I don't know how much we're going to be seeing Jim Ross, for instance. Would he, I could see some places like it's, I don't know. I don't have a good sense of like how big of a story this has become to people that are just on the periphery that are aware of this or not aware of it. Like certainly it's out there for wrestling fans. Would that translate to any kind of negative reaction to Jim Ross at these shows? Like it certainly was not the case tonight, for instance, but I didn't expect it to be either. I think it was important to at least note and bring this up because it was, front of mind for people. Renee reports on an attack on jet speed. They actually put this video up right before they went live, and the demand comes in, and basically they had put a bounty up on Bailey and Kevin Knight, and Don Callis reveals that it was Mark Davis and the incoming Jake Doyle, the former Jake something, who has joined the Don Callis family, the largest group in history.
I mean, what was the NWO up to at one point?
Yeah, that's their competition at this point. Like it's to the point now I couldn't even imagine all the members being under one roof together. Like we just get chapters of the Don Callis family at various tapings. And
I don't know if that's ever happened where like every Don Callis family member has shown up. It's like getting all the Wu-Tang together in one spot. It's very rare.
Yeah.
Or
Jake Doyle. So he came in. Yeah.
So I mean, hold on a second. Like, we talk often about like how big this AEW roster is and how much room there is. Like we talk about these free agents that are popping up, and I'm like, would this guy fit in AEW? I don't know, maybe like 5 years ago, but now there's just no room. There's no room. I don't know how much demand there really has been for Jake something. Maybe as untapped or as like talented as he actually is. Like I don't know how much audience demand there was for this particular signing. Yet like boom, here it is. Did it surprise you?
Yeah, like I mean, his deal was up at TNA, but yeah, this wasn't necessarily the addition I was expecting. But okay. I guess they figured like this guy fit a role that I guess someone else on the roster did not.
The Don Callis family really needs one guy in a black tank top. Yeah, there's really a missing role for that.
Well, it wouldn't be their only addition tonight.
He's
or at least
dressed similarly.
Reunion.
Well, it looks like he's going to be a tag team with Mark Davis, who has lost his prior tag team partner, obviously, to Greater Pastures, and we'll see what this turns out to be. I mean, I think everybody deserves a chance to impress, and hopefully Jake Doyle can do that.
So the show starts with Jon Moxley and Shelton Benjamin in an eliminator bout with MVP on commentary. And MVP sits down and he just praises Jim Ross, calls him the greatest, shakes his hand. And they are talking about Moxley's leg injury. They got very technical here about how he's unable to plant his foot and throw strikes. He can't torque the leg. They were very technical here. And so Benjamin looked very good here. He scaled to the top, suplexing Moxley, hit multiple Germans back to back to back. And we get the call. There's 5 minutes remaining. And Moxley rallies with a tope suicida, gets caught with a pay dirt, and kicks out of that. Shelton then kicks out the leg and does a step-up knee. Moxley hits him with the paradigm shift and goes for the choke. There's 1 minute left as Shelton gets to the rope. And then after a knee strike, Shelton applies the triangle, and Moxley stacks him up, like postures on top, and covers him, catching him at 19 minutes and 56 seconds. 4 seconds before Shelton would have got a future title match. They shake hands at the end of it. Really entertaining opener. To start things off. And yes, we had Moxley winning the eliminator.
Really excellent, well-wrestled match. And it's now like 2 weeks in a row where they're really kind of flirting with that time limit. And it's really tough, I think, to, make 20 minutes compelling. But I thought these two managed to do it with just like solid back and forth action and pretty much like no bells and whistles other than like a short brawl into the crowd here. Shelton, I think, for somebody who debuted in 2002, like Xavier Cena, man, he looks as good as ever. There's no slowdown whatsoever. Like, in fact, he might be getting better at his age. And I've been enjoying this Mox Continental Championship Eliminator thing so far. Like, it is essentially AEW's version of like their U.S. Open Challenge or something. Like a weekly TV title related, this is not a defense, but it's close to it, featuring your star babyface, and the idea to maybe feature a number of mid-carders that aren't usually booked in the strongest positions, but giving them ring time to just showcase themselves as the great wrestlers that they are. And I mean, Shelton was really a great choice for it.
And I think honestly, like the lack of like run-ins, that's a big feature to a lot of fans. Like it's something they're very reliant on, from referee distractions and run-ins. Like I think that's a crutch they lean on a lot, that this is a breath of fresh air, that you have a match that you're getting a relatively clean ending to.
How do you feel about the time cues? Because they only gave us a 1 minute.
I think they need to just be consistent. Like, it should just be 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 minute remaining, and just hammer them every single time. And I think you just have to be consistent with them. And because it just seems like sometimes like we'll get a time cue at one certain point, and then it's just, I think you just need to be consistent.
It was kind of jarring only getting the 1 minute, right? Like
they did say. They did say the 5. They definitely said 5 minutes remaining. I don't think we got a 10-minute call, but we definitely got a 5-minute call. Yeah.
Oh, I must be mistaken then.
Darby Allin is in the back searching for Pac, and there were highlights of Tanahashi's retirement. I only watch AEW. I had no idea what this match was going on. I would have watched this if I knew in advance.
Well, I don't think they cared to advertise the show for you. Like, this has always been the case. It was the case with the G1.
We did get the plug from Josh Alexander during his backstage beatdown on Collision, promoting Tanahashi's retirement that Okada is involved.
You mean the promotion that took place on Saturday evening, just hours before Wrestle Kingdom went on air? Come on, that doesn't.
No better time like this. It's like putting out a tweet right before that you're going to get this match in an hour.
No, it's clear they don't want to advertise for somebody else's, show, right? Like
it's almost like after the fact. It's like anyway.
But after the fact, before, subscribe and watch it in archive. Who cares? But before the fact, they don't do that.
They recapped Kenny Omega's message for MJF last week, wanting to become champion again, and he will return next week at Maximum Carnage in Phoenix. The Demand come out, and Jack Perry now has to find replacements for Jet Speed, and the babyface Young Bucks are joining him. And they decided, let's go out and have the best trios match we can possibly have. And this match was just incredible. Jack Perry hit an Orihara moonsault onto GOA right away, and then Khan was repeatedly throwing Perry into the apron and rail. And then after beating on Jack Perry throughout the picture-in-picture, Nick gets the hot tag, and they hit the elbow swanton combo onto GOA. There's a slingshot into a destroyer by Nick. Then the double stomp into a sit-out powerbomb. Toa Leona comes in. He lifts all three men on top for a triple Samoan drop. And he made this look like totally smooth. There was no struggle. There was no like pausing. This guy did this so smoothly. This looked amazing.
I'm curious what like the combined weight is of Perry with the Bucks. Like, legit. Like what do you think? Like 450 maybe? Like
that's what I was gonna say, around like 450-ish.
I mean, that's doable for a guy that size.
It's also though
impressive.
stacking them in a way that's like the weight is distributed and that you've got to walk to the center and then drop them without like killing them as well.
Yeah, it is impressive. Absolutely.
Yes. Let's not downgrade Toa here. So then there's a springboard 450 by Ricochet. Perry kicks out of that. The Bucks save Perry after Vertigo. Super kick party all around. Then there's a Doomsday device and a BTE trigger to Ricochet, followed by Jack's knee strike. And he pins Ricochet again in 13 minutes and 13 seconds. So this was odd because we had Perry pin Ricochet, setting up the title match last Wednesday where Ricochet beat him. And it feels like we're just going to redo that as he pinned the champion again.
Do we know that like jet speed aren't actually like they weren't actually prevented from wrestling or something?
No, I think this was all angle. Like they came out.
I like that. I like to think so too. But number one, it's not like Tony to false advertise. Obviously, he delivered something better here in having the Bucks. I mean, jet speed and night.
To my knowledge, they didn't advertise this until like late in the day today as well. This is not something like they were building up for a long time. No, I read this as all.
I guess I just speculate whether or not something got changed, but maybe that he just wanted to add further reason for Perry to challenge Ricochet.
Perry also looked into the camera, told Luchasaurus that they love him. And then Jake Doyle and Mark Davis attack. This is when jet speed run out. Bailey's got a hockey stick, and Knight's got a weapon as well. The lights go out on the Lights Out edition, and Andrade returns, fresh off his trip to Japan. We've got the melding of the United Callis family empire.
You can have dual membership. I mean, Will Ospreay is in the United Empire. So
what if it turns out the United Empire have him under a contract and he violated a no-compete by showing up here as part of the Don Callis family?
Then I think he'd be tied up in court for that much longer. Yeah, this is interesting though. I do want to play this out like just in terms of kayfabe, because we know Will Ospreay is still a member of the United Empire, okay? By extension. He's like, I mean, he's like a senior member who only shows up occasionally. Andrade is the financial backer of the United Empire, member of the Don Callis family, who hates Will Ospreay. Yeah. All right, is that some sort of conflict or what?
So Andrade is to me, I think you can make it make sense through Callum Newman.
Yes, through the turn, but that's not going to.
I don't think they're ever going to have to address this, but they can. They can make sense of it. But yeah, it is a little complicated.
Whatever. Yeah.
But he's back. He hits the message to Speedball, and the Don Callis family stands strong. We got El Clone and Andrade, and Lance Archer joining them as well. And then FTR wheel out Big Stoke, and they remind us of the history that FTR has with Andrade. I mean, this man, like all the machinations of Andrade.
What, from NXT?
No, like they were
history?
AAA. They were teaming in AEW during Andrade's like first run around.
Man, I totally forget.
Well, the commentators did not.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, a lot going on here. This Don Callis family is up to like 28 members, and they added 2 tonight.
Yeah.
So Jake Doyle was already like in the background after tonight. Like he wasn't even the biggest addition.
I mean,
to the group tonight.
Is this sort of a running gag of the Don Callis family, isn't it? It's just like if you're a heel, you kind of automatically get put into this group. I mean, it's kind of amusing, but I don't know. What did you take by the end of this? Like what, tag team wrestling here? We got Davis and Doyle, this new team.
Well, I think the fact that you had Andrade arrive here and his attack included the Bucks, I think this does get you somewhere back to Omega and Andrade somewhere, like Omega with the Bucks against. You're probably going to get a trios against like Andrade, Davis, and Doyle.
Right.
Maybe being a trios match we get for TV at some point.
Okay. All right.
I do think they'll do that Omega Andrade match, although
Yeah.
it's not like Omega has been losing sleep over gaining revenge for this man. That if it happened in October, are you really that bent out of shape about it by January?
John, from this scene involving the 30 people that were on screen, they've got matches made for the next like 5 months.
They just booked every Dynamite from now until the Continental Classic. Omega's gonna have to go through the Don Callis family to get to Andrade, and that'll be World's End.
That'll take like 3 years.
Willow Nightingale comes out with Harley and Chris Statlander for her celebration. Renee is hosting it, and they dim the lights, and this really threw off Willow. Renee, total pro. She didn't bat an eye here.
They didn't dim these lights intentionally, at least.
Did they go out? I couldn't tell if they legit went out or if they were just dimming them for the segment.
Well, they were off for way too long without any sort of spotlight. I mean, this could have been for effect, but like
This also happened at the Lights Out match where it was lights out at the beginning and then the lights just came on. It became a lights on match.
I'm not really sure. Yeah.
So we have a cake. So where do you think this one's going? Willow talks about being reunited with Statlander, is willing to fight twice in one night as a double champion, and calls out Mercedes. And Mercedes comes out. She is in mourning over the loss of her belt. That's what all of the women in AEW, they don't just lose a title, they lose a blood relative when they lose their championships. They go into deep mourning. It's a change of character, and Monet is throws a tantrum, tips over the table with the cake, and then she face plants into the cake and gets hit with a Babe with the power bomb onto the cake.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Not the first time we've seen Monet do a cake bump, take a cake bump. She did one back in October with Statlander, and she takes them really well. Like she if there's like a compilation of like, Mercedes Monet cake bumps, I think it would be an entertaining one.
It turned out it was cake.
Turned out it was cake?
Well, have you ever seen Is It Cake?
No, I've not.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What's that? What is that?
You've never seen Is It Cake?
It's
a show where you literally have to look at things and you have to guess, is it cake or not?
That's a whole show?
Oh, dude, this is like a whole genre of videos.
Like,
online.
are we talking like a 30-minute thing? Oh, not TV. You're talking about like a YouTube thing?
It's on Netflix.
Wait, it's like a 30-minute show where you just guess whether or not it's cake?
Yeah, my kids love this. It's in its third season. It's a game show.
They have a whole game show where the game is to guess whether or
they
not
bring
it's
out
cake?
objects and you have to guess if it's real or if it's cake, and then they'll cut into it and you find out if it's cake or not.
How many rounds of this are there per episode?
Well, I mean, each episode is I don't know the show length here, but I mean, they've got a lot of mileage out of this, if that's what you're asking, Way.
Okay, wow.
There's some wild shit you can make out of cake.
I can tell, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, this was great. Or at least a great way to maybe just kind of like put the final, touches on the Willow championship win. Like, I think Willow's promo at this point is okay, but I also think like she, for somebody who is like near the cusp of like superstardom, in my opinion, at least within this company, I think she could level up a little bit, just in terms of she connects already really well with the crowd, but I just think like in terms of just like her just like really refining that personality on the microphone, I feel like she could level up just a little bit.
What about Mark Briscoe? Did he level up here on the chicken farm? He congratulates Willow. He's the workhorse champion, and it's been too long since I've whooped a man's ass. And he says that Hechisero's next on Collision, and he even does the Hechicero hand signal, which is going to be memed repeatedly after tonight. Great promo here from Mark Briscoe, and yes, he will defend the title in Arlington on Saturday.
So great, yeah. Like, to me, like he really feels like a throwback to an 80s promo where he's just like so bursting with charisma, so original in voice, and he really does make it all look so effortless. Terrific promo here.
Next was Triangle of Madness in the shower, and they call out Chris Statlander for now having friends that we know you hate them, and you're just around them because you're insecure. When is it that you're going to spit in Harley Cameron's face? Am I wrong? This is the AEW shower
I
backdrop.
guess, yeah. I guess what else could this be, right?
We know you hate them, and they issue a challenge for the Babes of Wrath and Chris Statlander next week. And Sky Blue and Julia Hart end it by saying, "Bonded by blood, we are the daughters of violence."
Yes. Yeah, I mean, they're working on it, on a thing. They've got their thing, and it's Tekla talking, and the two of them doing that, right? I think it's working.
Yeah,
I think it's cool.
Their promos are fine. I think Tekla's. I think Tekla is actually like underutilized at this point. But I mean, she's getting screen time, so that's more than others.
I think she's sounding good.
Bandito Sammy Guevara, non-title. Guevara spits water in his face, and Sammy's just getting heat from the crowd. There's a tornillo off the top by Bandito, and this appeared to be the spot where he busted Sammy's nose, which just got worse and worse throughout the match. Bandito did this big comeback with a tope con hero, and then went to monkey flip Sammy, and I think he was trying to send him over the top. That did not work out. So instead he rolls to the floor. Sammy would recover, hits a shooting star to the floor. The GTH gets stopped. He hits an Os cutter. And then it's Bandito with the pop-up cutter, goes for the 21-plex, but Sammy lands on his feet, hits a flying knee, and then lifts him up for this back suplex, twists him in midair into a DDT, which looked great. And then it's Bandito flipping Sammy backward in the air, lands a knee as he comes down, and that sets up the 21-plex in 11 minutes and 42 seconds. It was a fun match. Where are you at right now on Sammy Guevara? There was a time that if you had told me like 2021, where is Sammy Guevara going to be? This would not be my answer.
No. Well, tonight I think he continued to prove that he's an excellent in-ring performer. Like I thought he was great here, and like when you look at the original four pillars of AEW, certainly you look at him as like, well, MJF like head and shoulders above everybody. Darby Allin as well. Like those are like the two standouts. But then Guevara, I thought wasn't that far behind. Like he is incredibly charismatic, and just kind of like stopped evolving maybe, and you know, maybe I think at this point I don't know if the audience has that much of a demand to see him, despite the fact that he is a very talented person. But there just seems
a lot of the audience is not seeing him though. Like he's pretty much exclusive to Ring of Honor, and I don't think a whole lot of people are even aware of what Sammy Guevara is doing.
Sure, yeah, but is there that much of a clamoring for like people like for Sammy to like come back onto Dynamite the way that, you know, they might ask for Eddie Kingston to be on Dynamite? I wouldn't say necessarily. He's talented, but I also think he needs to change, you know, and hasn't found that change yet. Hasn't really, like, I think attempted to.
He still does a lot of shticky heel work that has not evolved and advanced. Like just the like, I'm the best. It's like this feels like very rudimentary stuff that, you know, awesome talent. But it's, you know, there is, I don't know. He's still like young enough, and I've always been impressed with him as like a talent. But you know, you get to see a match like this, and you can see like this guy's a great performer. There was no doubt this match was going to be really entertaining, even though it had its issues. But overall, like they had like a really entertaining match here. But
can you remind me why he's on ROH? Like, sorry, I'm just in my mind. I don't even remember what happened.
I mean, I don't know what your exact reason is that he's been slotted there, but I mean, he's been there for a long time at this point.
Like, no reason? Like, wasn't there something, or at least something that you? Let's not get into speculation or anything, but like, what? All of a sudden, one day he just like, what? Tony just decided to put him on ROH.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
Like he's had his issues in AEW, but I don't think that would ultimately just be the, you know,
like Tony just made. Can we suggest Tony just like lost interest?
I mean, as much as you would like, it depends on how. Like, do you look at ROH as like he lost interest in Athena and put her there? Like, I wouldn't say that. But Sammy Guevara is also not Athena in Ring of Honor.
Like I'm suggesting, like Athena, you can argue is like the main reason why somebody would want to subscribe to Honor Club. Mm-hmm. Is Sammy Guevara put there for that reason?
No, he is not. MJF comes out and he has brought his CMLL interpreter, John Cruz, the former Serpentico. I was like, oh, this is perfect here. He has come to communicate.
Not former. He's still Serpentico. He was on Saturday. He showed up with Angelico.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He was there in his corner. So he comes out, and MJF brags about selling out Arena Mexico, beating Mystico. He's a lucha legend and a bigger star in Mexico than Bandito is. And then he has Cruz translate this whole message, and he just goes on forever. MJF thanks Cruz for coming to a dump like Tulsa. I've got 6 rings to my name, and that ring doesn't belong to you. So just hand it over to me, and I'll put you over to Tony Khan, and I'll even wrestle you on pay-per-view in 5 to 10 years. And then, this is the best, Bandito comes back and says, I can speak English. After all this, he can speak English and calls him a stupid son of a bitch. MJF kicks him in the balls, takes off his ring, and winds up as Cruz holds Bandito in place, but Bandito ducks, so MJF takes out Cruz. Bandito kicks him in the balls, takes the ring back, and hits both men with the 21 plex. There's not a person in the world that believes Bandito is winning this belt next week, but I thought they had a entertaining segment here involving them. I'm just hoping for a really entertaining match next week, and hopefully a heated crowd as well.
MJF seems to have great chemistry both in ring and also on the microphone with luchadors, and I thought that continued to show itself here. I know like he speaks English, but I still want to see John Cruz like do the translation.
Oh, Cruz adds so much to this.
Insulting.
Like, yeah, like that guy was
great.
just that's the best work of Cruz's career has been in CMLL with MJF.
Oh, he's so good, honestly, in this role. But I thought the segment did a great job in like making Bandito look like the hero, you know. Whereas I felt like I wasn't the only one. I don't know if you criticized it, but like the build up to the World's End match, I felt he went too hard, particularly at Swerve, maybe even a little at Joe, and maybe for that that was because they were splitting the comeuppance for Collision, so you're only left with like MJF like calling him Diddy and all this other stuff. And then you weren't getting the other half of that until Collision. By that point, I kind of felt like the effect was the harm had already been done. In this segment, I mean, MJF's role was just here to taunt Bandito a little bit, but ultimately to just make Bandito look good and look like the hero, taking care of the bully all in one segment. And I thought that was very effective.
The Brody King video about him wrestling and performing at concerts, and violence puts food on my family's table. I don't have to scream to get my point across. And they're continuing to push that if Bandito wins next week, Brody King is the first in line. So I'm kind of curious to see how that, what becomes of that, because they are promoting that aspect. Timeless Tony Storm and Marina Shafir. Garcia and Yuta are in the corner for Shafir. There's a lot of chance for Tony. Shafir at one point goes for like the tiger feint kick into the head scissors, but can't really apply them. Shafir starts dancing with Tony, mocking Orange Cassidy, and then would dip Tony and then lift her into forearm strikes. This was unique. Storm hits a shotgun drop kick, big package, and then Yuta pulls referee Paul Turner out of the ring, and Paul Turner is like, enough of this shit. And he calls for the DQ at 7:57. I've never applauded a DQ so much. I hope this means from now on, this spot is done. I hate the pulling the ref out spot.
Wait, you mean you hope that there are more DQs like this?
No, I hope they just eliminate the pull the ref spot out, because now it's established as a DQ. It makes kind of no sense to do this as a save moving forward.
I think it makes sense if you can knock out the ref in the same motion. Like if the ref is so knocked out he forgets who did the pulling, then you can't call the match, right?
That's like a traumatic brain injury on the floor,
which referees often suffer.
Yeah, they're not long for this world. The crowd was very heated for Timeless Tony Storm. I wouldn't say this match really got to the next level. I felt this was almost more, hey, you get to see Tony Storm. They're going to have some wrestling, and then we're going to educate you to a rare DQ in AEW of getting some heat on Paul Turner here, or some credibility behind him.
I certainly felt it was, almost by design, a disappointing finish here. But like the match itself didn't blow me away, considering how long they've been building to it. Really since like Blood and Guts, with the finish there. Like they've done a great job building specifically to mega problems versus Timeless Love Bombs. But then like in the heart of that feud has always been Toni Storm versus Marina Shafir. So this felt to me like a big match. And
is this big enough that you could hold this off for Australia next month with Toni Storm? Like, is Marina Shafir big enough for a Toni Storm match in Australia?
So certainly coming off of Blood and Guts, I would 100% said yes. And maybe even now I would say yes too, but I think it requires a stipulation or like higher stakes attached to it. But I also
well that's what this ref bump could lead to, is that this could justify some kind of, no holds barred type of
all ref bumps allowed.
Okay. Yes.
Multiple ref bumps. Yeah. But I wasn't blown away by it, personally. I think Marina's matches should be kept a bit shorter and sweeter. And if obviously you can't do that with Toni Storm, but I would have wanted to see her be a bit more explosive and much more of to me, like, I think her character is best when it's emotionless and stoic. And, I didn't
the dancing.
I didn't love that mock dancing stuff. Like, that to me is not necessarily something like I see this character doing. And then like she goes to that 619 head scissors, which
that one did not look good. It did not look good
tonight. And it's like, I feel like it's sort of like the Monet Maker in terms of just like, accuracy and how often it gets pulled off. She should be sticking to like shoot inspired moves, like judo, submissions, things like that,
I'm pretty convinced that Jim Ross had never heard the term mother's milk before this match, because his reaction in real time sounded like he was hearing it for the first time.
Mother's milk. How about that?
I
just won with the mother's milk.
Renee is with Pac and says, when are you going to have the rematch with Darby? He's like, I've beaten him twice. The story is over. I'm a winner. He's a loser. So Darby comes in. He's come all the way to Tulsa to demand a rematch, and Pac's not interested. So Darby does his hardline negotiation. He sprays him with a fire extinguisher. That's not enough. He beats him with his skateboard and then threatens to shatter his ankle with a door. Pac says, okay, I'll face you. Legally binding verbal contract, and they will face off next week in Phoenix.
I mean, I guess it's on camera. If they went to court, maybe this would hold up. Not forget all the threatening to.
Ladies and gentlemen of the court, I present to you Exhibit A. I threatened death on this man, and he agreed. This is borderline duress, but I would like to argue that this is binding.
Well, he said yes. That's all that matters. Yes.
And then the lights out match: Powerhouse Hobbs and Hook against Hangman Page and Swerve. The lights go out, and they just rely on the spotlight. I was like, this looks awful.
Have they done this in prior lights out matches, or were they trying something new? I can't remember.
I was trying to remember. I do not recall them doing this before. They might have for the Kenny Omega Joey Janela one that they did on Dark, but I mean, that was so long ago. I can't remember off the top of my head, but this looked terrible. And this would have like killed this match if they had kept it like this. Thankfully,
this reminded me of like Sin Cara matches, or like those Firefly, was it Bray Wyatt matches with the red light?
This was, people want to see. They want to be able to see. Okay. Lighting is kind of the minimum bar for matches. And thankfully, just at a random point here, the lights came on, and thank God.
Yeah, good on them for like not sticking through and just like a boarding mission basically. But yeah, wrestling has tried to like experiment with mood lighting at various times, and when it comes to like the actual in ring, it often just does not work. Entrances go nuts, but like when it comes to the wrestling, it's hard to do.
Yeah, especially for this match where they were going to be all over the place, and you got four bodies here that are doing a lot of significant damage to one another. Like, could you have imagined like these revealing the cinder blocks and no one could have even seen them? Like, there were reveals from under the ring. They made the right call. Just flip the lights on here. So there's a big pop, obviously, when Hangman pulls out the table. They work over him. Swerve passes him a staple gun that they use on Hook. Then they staple Hobbs in the balls. Page and Swerve pull out a pile of cinder blocks, and my God, were they struggling to get this in the ring, because the ring skirt caught onto the cinder blocks, and even Nana's trying to pull the ring skirt, and this thing was just tied in there. So they just remained there. Nana takes a chair away from Hobbs, and then Hobbs nails him with an avalanche, and they hit the world's strongest slam to Swerve onto the cinder blocks. Page is in for the save. The dojo students come in, so it's 6-on-2, and they wrap up Swerve and Hobbs with chains around their necks when Nana comes to the rescue with hot coffee that he throws at Hobbs. and Paige and Swerve escape the chains, fight off the dojo members, and Hobbs knocks into Hook on the apron. There's a buckshot lariat, and then Hobbs is caught by a spine buster and a house call, and the cover gets stopped. There's a Swerve stomp to the dojo students on the floor, Deadeye on the cinder blocks with an assisted stomp. Hook returns, and he takes a rolling elbow with the chain wrapped around Hangman's arm. They finish him with a house call, buckshot, and then Hook gets hung over the top rope with the chain. Hook got hung in 19 minutes and 52 seconds. Jim Ross was...
The hook at the end of the chain.
Yeah, that was it. Jim Ross at like this 2-on-1 beatdown was like, just finish them already. Is this necessary? He was going full like Jesse Ventura here, calling that Damian Priest match. So the Hangman and Swerve demolish Hook and Hobbs, and this was Hangman's revenge on Hook for costing him the title.
I think a very entertaining match, and as a TV main event, to me, it over delivers. As a lights out match, though, that kind of like I kind of place those in a very different category that you typically see on a pay per view. And this
lights out with Hangman and Swerve, that they have kind of like they have set a level that's going to be nearly impossible to hit. But I think this was certainly satisfactory for like a television main event. They went pretty lengthy here. They went to almost 20 minutes. They went well past the top of the hour. I guess the bigger question here is that, like, does Hook fit this role? Because I do feel like this is a big role for somebody here. He cost Hangman the title, and I just don't see Hook reaching this next level. Like, to me, he is he's kind of in an Austin Theory role in this ops unit to me.
When you say the role, you mean just like, like this being the payoff, or are you anticipating this Hook being Paige's actual next opponent?
No, this kind of felt like the write-off of it.
Yeah.
And like the argument, like, could this have been better served for someone else, that you could have gotten more out of this? Or was this enough that this was enough that you got a big TV violent spectacle out of, and that's that?
I'm feeling more the latter, John. Like, I number one, like, Hook, I guess, was always a part of the ops anyway, and so maybe narratively it just kind of made sense. Secondly, like, your payoff ultimately is just like this TV match, right? And if you were to like put somebody fresh into it, I mean, no matter what, they would feel like the fourth member of the ops, and I kind of think that's Hook's role right now. His biggest holdback is the promo. Like, in ring, I think he's great. He's been great since like he first wrestled, but hasn't really shown that much evolution as a speaker. And unfortunately, in AEW, man, there's a lot of like great speakers, and you're going to stand out if you don't really have that.
So, what were your overall thoughts on tonight's Dynamite? They had a pretty lengthy main event that got over pretty well with the crowd, especially once you were introducing all of the weapons. Even with the lights out concept, I'm sure a lot of people love that match. I really enjoyed Moxley and Shelton myself. I would say that was my match. Oh, you know what? Cross that off. The trios would have topped Moxley and Benjamin for me. But
Moxley Shelton was a great match too.
Yeah, like, those two, and you add in the lights out. Like, those are three, I would say, really good matches. Bandito and Guevara, like, entertaining as well. I would say Storm and Shafir was not much.
No, but it wasn't bad. It just, to me, below my expectation with the match promoted that much. So all the matches were good. Good to just okay, average, sure. But that still, to me, makes for a good show. Like, at least by my scorecard, not among the great Dynamites. Maybe middle of the pack, average Dynamite, but that still means like it's an entertaining show.
You won't nominate this for best TV episode next year.
No, I will not. No.
New category, folks, coming on Monday, where it's an individual episode, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, there you have it, everyone. We're going to keep the party going on the Post Wrestling Cafe. We have feedback and questions to get to. For everyone else, though, here on the YouTube channel, you can go back and check out today's Pollock and Thurston, where we were chatting many lawsuits, as well as Wrestle Kingdom 20 with our own Karen Peterson. So she was on with us to talk about the business of New Japan and the success of the show and moving forward, what are the big objectives for New Japan, as well touching upon Saya Kamatani and her year in Stardom. So that can be heard on both the WrestleNomics and Post Wrestling feeds as well. So again, a reminder that Thursday, I will be live with Ariel Helwani at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and then on the Café at 9 Eastern Thursday to watch the Rumbles from 1990 and 95 with Wei Ting and Brandon from New Jersey. So goodbye to everyone on YouTube.